Welcome back to the channel. Josh Helm here. I'm in Vann, Texas. This is our shell only build that we're doing over here. And right now we're in the steel frame stages. Now some of you guys might have been following along as we did some of our pad site work. Then we did not do an update as we got our forms completed as well as our concrete poured. But typically that takes us a few weeks after the fact before we start this process. Now, as we started laying out some of our steel on this project, just so you know, I think it was the 28th of May, there was a massive storm that rolled into town here in, I think this is Van Zant County, but this is Vann, Texas. And I mean, just trees down everywhere where our guys were actually on location when that happened. Take a look. So as you can imagine, a pretty scary feeling, but we didn't get a whole lot more done that day. We actually had to halt construction. But as you can see, it's been a few days later. Our guys are steadily after it. We've got the majority of this structure stood up already. I'm gonna give you a little bit of insight information here. We've got roughly an 80 by 30, well, it's not roughly, it's an 80 by 30 overall main roof structure. And we've got a 6-foot bump out for a porch on the front. So we're gonna be getting into some of the details here about some of what we do when it comes to concrete as well as our steel frame. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's get it going. Okay, well, I showed you guys this plan before, but here's another breakdown of it. It's living square footage is like 1,078 square footage. Overall, we've got your entrance right here. We do have a 6-foot patio. I know that they offset this patio. They moved it farther this way just so that they would have a little more coverage over their window right here. So that became something of notability for them. They wanted to make sure they got the windows covered, which I don't think is a bad plan at all. So the main flow is coming in here. You got your living room on this side, which is nestled to there, leading a clear divide between the living room and the kitchen. I actually like this design the way this is. And then your kitchen, which is a pretty healthy sized kitchen, which has accessibility that goes straight out into your garage. As you can imagine, coming into your garage, you could pull your groceries, things like that in here. Then here you got 2 bedrooms. You got your guest bedroom with a walk-in closet. You got your bathroom, which works for not only a guest room, but it also serves the purpose here. You could modify this a little bit if you wanted to. You could flip your, vanity on this side, have your door over here, and then make another door straight in. That could have been easily done on this particular layout. But here they just have the one door, which, tells me they're probably not gonna have somebody here all the time with them. But here is the other entrance to the master bedroom. You got your master closet, and this flows into a joined utility, laundry, and bathroom for the master suite, which gives you a lot of flow and accessibility as well into the shop space. So as you can imagine, this becomes kind of a multi-function, like drop zone, mud bench area. You got your washer and dryer, you got your utility sink, you got your 2-sink vanity over here, you got your full walk-in shower and your toilet area with additional linen closet. So I actually think this is pretty functional for what they're trying to do here. So I love it actually. And then you got an access door that goes to the back. You got one that comes to the front here on this side. So you'll be able to maintain entrance from the front or the back, which is nice to have, because if you want to get in your garage, and you're outside, you don't want to have to go all the way through your house to get in there if the garage door is not open. So a couple key things there when it comes to the layout on the design. All right, well, this is our Texas Best fabrication team out here. These guys always do a great job no matter what the roof shape is or requirements, whatever we're needing to do. This one here is about as simple as it gets, guys. I'm gonna show you guys a couple little details that apply here. This is about as basic as it gets. This is your standard building methods here, where you've got your column, then you got your posts, your supporting beams that go all the way across. We stack these and then set them up, and then now we're running the horizontal purlins, which in this case, as you can see, we're going on the inside. And you may say, well, why do you guys do that? And I'm going to tell you that here in just a second. Now, let me say this. If you went above, it's easier to extend your overhangs. But I'm going to show you why we don't do that, and where the advantages would lie and where they don't. Now, this is our shop area here. And when we pour the concrete, we actually drop this level down. So you can see, I got a couple details here I'm going to show you. Number one, this is where your living quarters ends, right here. This is where your shop begins. Now this is a sheet ledge. You guys will hear me talk about this a lot on the channel. I want you to see our post right there. That is an inside column. It goes inside the wall. Another thing that we do here is right here at this edge, right there where the sheet ledge begins, we actually set this column in a 1/2 inch so that the zip system can pass through that. I always say pass through. It can pass over, however you want to term that. But here you're seeing our sheet ledge drop down 1.5 inches because that's what's happening to the main floor in the shop living. Sheet ledge up, sheet ledge down. We're doing that because this helps you maintain flashing methods all the way around the building. As you can imagine, if water levels came up, you wouldn't want the bottom of your panel to be at the surface level. So having the sheet ledge is kind of like a brick ledge, to where you're a little bit lower there. So that's one thing. Now, another thing I'll tell you about this particular build, depending on your span from here to here, that will increase the size that you need for these I-beams. Now, these are 10-inch I-beams that we're using consistently all the way, except for these columns right here. We're using consistently on the interior walls these thicker gauge 4x4 posts. The reason why we're doing that here is because we're doing it here. And we're on the end walls, we're using a heavier, thicker 10-inch column down there. Now, your support is actually more important on the interior walls than it is the exterior, because you don't have as much being tied to it. So we always go with the thicker wall over there, because that gets buried in the wall. It doesn't matter as much for us to have a little bit thicker beam there, and it gives us a little bit more support. So I told you this was the living quarters right here at this corner. You can see we've got a drop down shower. You're seeing the plumbing, all of the living items. And a lot of people are always, I had somebody ask the other day, are these columns taller than these columns? And the answer to your question is yes. That is how we do that, because we have a full fabrication team right here. When we lay these out, say on this side, I'm not sure which side they laid them out, but I'm guessing they probably laid them out over there and then stood them all up, set them into place, because as we lay those out, we have the ability to cut them at different lengths. And these particular ones are longer than these over here. Another thing I'll tell you is, remember I told you where you have interior columns, we leave a gap at the bottom. I'll show you on this one. You'll see like a 1/2 inch inset right here where we place this beam so that the zip system can come right here next to that, and then your sheet can come next to that. Well, as you come over here, you'll see the same thing on this one. See a little bit of a gap. But as we come over here, you don't see that. You've got, this ends up being flush all the way. So your steel comes out flush here where that sheet ledge is. Now, whether we made that exact from one side to the other, it wouldn't matter as much, because I could actually float my purlin out a little bit on the garage wall to make it meet the zip system. What we don't want to have is where my living quarter stops and my shop begins. I don't want to have a ripple effect where that's higher or sticking out further than this. So it's important that we have this all maintained something flush there. Now, when it comes to the way that we're doing this, you can see we're putting purlins on the inside of the I-beams. The reason why we're doing this is for these living quarters down here. As you can see, I can maintain with that I-beam a straight frame wall underneath there. I can build my stud walls directly up to that smooth surface, which gives me better air seal methods, and that becomes a block from any having to cut in and out. As you can imagine, if you put the purlins on top of the beam, then with all of your zip and all that, for me to extend the porches, I would have to cut around every purlin, and they're kind of funny shaped. As you can see, they're shaped like a C, because that's what they call them, C purlin. Here's a picture of one right here. And if I had to cut my plywood around this, then I have a less chance for getting a good airtight seal. So that's the reason why we like to build with our purlins on the inside. Some people say, well, Josh, isn't that going to give you less support by going on the inside instead of over the top? Well, as you can see, we're welding all this with our weld plates, and these all get welded, each one, and I could technically span this purlin like 30 foot, and I'm only like 20 foot, sometimes less, between these beams. So there's a lot of support here. You're never going to have to worry about that being an issue. So I have zero concern about that. Now, lastly, what I'll say about this is, if I was going to, the reason why we keep our purlins on the inside down here is because that's what we're doing consistently all the way over there. And once we decide to go inside, we do it all the way. So right now, it is a little more trouble. As you can see, we're having to frame our end pieces on with the overhangs in order to establish that, and they've got to go tack that on or weld it on all the way up and down, which is what we're doing right now. So that does become a little more work, but as you can see, the reason why we're doing this is to maintain a better air seal right here. Otherwise, you could just set your purlin on top of the steel, extend it past. So, but that's the method to our madness there. So it's real important, guys, when you're pouring your concrete. You can see this is a post tension slab, because you got all the cables where they came and pre and post tension those. Well, that sheet ledge is one of the most important things when you're pouring your foundation for a barndominium. You got to have that, otherwise your steel panel is going to stop at the ledge right there, so, or at the slab surface. So when it comes to flashing details, that is probably a key component, and they don't always know that you're wanting to do that unless you tell them. So your foundation engineer, whoever's doing it, make sure you get that drawn in on your plan, or your builder, whoever it is. All right, well, that pretty much covers it for an update on this build. This is our Vann Barndominium shell only project that we're doing. We're going to be updating you guys as well as we make a little bit more progress down the road on this build. We'll have wood framing going and things like that at some point, but maybe we'll get the roof dried in and stuff like that before we do that. So you guys follow along for more. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. 60% of people that watch our channel, actually, even though we have quite a few subscribers, are not subscribed. So that's something that if you're new, especially to the channel, you'll want to do so that you can get notified. We appreciate all the support. If you haven't done it, follow us now on Facebook and Instagram as well. I'm Josh Helm, wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching. Texas Best.
Oh yeah.